Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of our video series on terms in digital marketing for dentists to understand. In our first video, we talked about the top 11 most basic terms in digital marketing for every dentist to know, and we covered terms like SEO, PPC, CPC, cost per lead, landing pages, performance marketing, and if you need to check that video out, it's available in our Facebook group. So go watch that video first if you haven't already, and then come back here to watch the 9 advanced terms that drive results. So let's get started with these advanced terms. Our first term is impressions. So a lot of advertising, including the advertising we talked about in the last video, is sold on a cost per click basis. But the original way to sell advertising, and really the original way to sell non-digital advertising as well, is on an impression basis, meaning literally how many times has the ad been seen. It's on a view basis. So an impression is just a view of your ad and an eyeball on your ad. And instead of being sold on a cost per click, these are sold on a CPM, cost per mille. Mille being a Latin word which means thousand, so you buy them by the thousand. So if you buy ads from a website and they say our cost is $25 CPM, that just means that for every 1,000 views of your ad, you'll pay $25. So what kind of ads are sold on a CPM? Certainly none of Google's search ads. Some of their display ads are sold on a CPM. Some of Facebook's advertising is sold on a CPM. And most of the banners that you see around the internet and a lot of the native advertising, which is essentially graphical ads that look a little bit less like advertising, a little bit more like native content. So banners and native ads are often sold on a CPM basis. And even though people don't really click on those types of ads too often, they are a good way to build brand awareness at the top of your funnel. So what is a funnel? So the term sales funnel has a lot of complex meanings which are beyond the scope of this video, but in our simplest sense, and in the sense that we mean it for performance marketing, it really just means prospecting and finding potential patients, introducing them to your brand, and then making sure that they follow through all the way through to setting an appointment and becoming a patient. So when we say feed the top of the funnel, that means generate awareness or prospect for people who are not aware of your practice yet. So how do we feed the top of the funnel? We could do display ads and banner ads. It's a lot more effective to target particular people who might be interested in what your practice has to offer. So how do we do that? We use audience targeting. The most famous form of audience targeting is geo-targeting. Just about everybody understands that, but that means literally serving your ads to people who are within a specific geographical location. In other words, a 5-mile radius around your practice. Another form of audience targeting is behavioral targeting. So this means what have people searched for, i.e. Google search ads, what kind of interests have they indicated based on their behavior online. Are they into boats? Are they into extreme sports? Are they into hobbies that would indicate they may need more frequent dental care? And even what websites do they often go to? These are all forms of behavioral audience targeting. And then lastly, there's demographic audience targeting, targeting household income, targeting gender, targeting family size. These are all valuable ways to make sure that your message is getting in front of the people who are most likely to enter your funnel. So once they're in your funnel, how do you make sure that they do go on to become a lead, to request more information from your practice or call you up and set an appointment? If they go to your landing page and they don't convert, they don't become a lead, that doesn't mean they're a lost cause. A lot of times it's worth retargeting or remarketing those people. So what does that mean? That means that we can identify those people who came to your site but did not fill out the form and did not call you up, and make sure that we serve more ads to them, and in fact even pay extra to find those people because they did show initial interest. They are in your funnel. We just need to push them down the funnel. At the bottom of your funnel is them setting an appointment. That's what we want. So we can retarget to them and make sure they come back to your landing page to set an appointment. So how do we identify those people who've actually been to your landing page and didn't convert? We do that by means of a pixel. So we all know pixels in terms of how many pixels our high-def TVs have. So a pixel in advertising terms is a little bit different, and it really just means a little snippet of code that gets placed into the code of the page. And when somebody goes to that page, they get cookied, they get marked. And then they go into a big pool of users who all fit that criteria, all people who have been marked as having visited your page before. And then you can tell Facebook or Google that you want to serve more ads to those people, retarget those people. And that is how you push folks further down the funnel, people who are already fairly interested, they're already aware, and they're in the consideration phase. We need to make sure that they go on to convert. So another cool thing that you can do with a pixel is create a lookalike audience. So once you place Facebook's pixel or Google's pixel on your landing page, and everybody who comes to the site and converts, fills out the form to set an appointment, all those people can be gathered together, and then Google's algorithms and Facebook's algorithms will say, okay, of all these people who did convert, what do they have in common? What are the common characteristics of these people? And can we find more people who look like them? Hence the name lookalike. Can we find more people who match the same characteristics of the converters on your landing page? And if so, can we serve ads specifically to those people? And so that's called a lookalike audience, another way to fill the top of your funnel, and they work quite well. And finally, we have lead nurturing. So you do all this effort in terms of running advertisements and building a landing page and setting up pixels and doing remarketing and lookalike audiences, and you generate a bunch of leads. Great. People fill out the forms. They say they're interested in dental implants or whatever it is you're trying to get them to sign up for. How do you make sure they actually turn into patients? That's where lead nurturing comes in. Lead nurturing means calling them immediately after they fill out the form, following that up with an email, calling them again the next day, calling them up to 5 or 6 times, which is not anybody's favorite thing, but you spent all this time and all this money to generate these leads of pure gold sifted from the rock of the mine. You might as well follow up and nurture these leads to make sure they do turn into appointments and ultimately patients. Lead nurturing is critically important. It is the missing link that I see a lot of practices kind of miss the boat on in terms of spending a ton of money on advertising and then not following up on the leads. So hopefully you have it set up on a semi or fully automated basis, and I'll be making a separate video to talk specifically about this. I hope you found this really interesting. Please check out our Facebook group. We have lots of other helpful and informative videos there, and a great community. So check us out and stay tuned for the next video. Goodbye.